Guyana, and welcome to another edition of West Side Story. On Wednesday, the 5th of October 2016, the People's National Congress Reform, which is one of the largest parties in the APNU-AFC coalition government, celebrated 59 years in existence. Today on West Side Story, what we'll do is focus on an award ceremony that is being held to congratulate all those who would have worked to ensure that PNC is the party that it is today. So West Side Story is basically coming to you from an award ceremony being held at the West Demerara Secondary School. I am Malika Ramsey, and this is West Side Story. Stay tuned. As we continue here on West Side Story this week, we are still focusing on that 59th anniversary celebration, and of course today it is being celebrated right here in Region 3 of course at the West Demerara Secondary School. In celebrating, it is good to hear where we came from and where we're expected to go. So in this part of West Side Story, what we will be doing is hearing from several persons who made presentation and expressed their satisfaction with what the party has achieved, and they basically stated what is expected from the party to come. One of the persons we heard from is long-serving People's National Congress Reform member, Mrs. Valda Lawrence, who is also the Minister of Social Protection. So take a look at a presentation from the Minister of Social Protection, Valda Ann Lawrence.
It's 59 years, and our party will go on and on. And so we have to ensure that we leave that legacy, that we bring others on board to participate and be a part of this great party. At our 60th anniversary, a few months from now, when Region 3 holds its next award ceremony, this place must be filled and spilling over. And that is when we would recognize that all of us are kith and kin, and all of us have contributed to our party by going out and bringing in the comrades. Let us not forget our past, so that we will not repeat it. Because I know you, like I, would want to ensure that not only the People's National Congress Reform continue to be in the seat of government, but that we have with us our own leader, David Otto Granger, at the head. And so this afternoon, as we celebrate our comrades for their contribution, let us remember that we still have work to do in the fields. Thank you, comrades. Congratulations, Region 3.
Statements there from Minister Valda Lawrence, who I did say before is also a long-standing member of the People's National Congress Reform. And of course, as I speak to you, you can see her in the background handing over some of the awards. Several awards were given, but a little later on West Side Story, you'll be hearing about those awards. I should also take the time to let you know how many persons in terms of long-standing members of the People's National Congress Reform were actually in attendance. Of course, beginning by His Excellency, the President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, Brigadier David Granger, who you will be hearing his presentation a little later on also. Also in attendance is Vice President and Minister of the Foreign Affairs, Mr. Carl Greenidge. He is also here. We have the General Secretary of the People's National Congress Reform, Mr. Oscar Clark, and so many other members here in attendance. Also the Minister of State, Joseph Harmon, who, as I always like to remind you, he is the minister with responsibility for this jurisdiction, the West Side and the Region 3 jurisdiction. But now it is also, of course, and as I speak with you, Minister Harmon is also handing over an award. So it's just to remind you that the People's National Congress Reform really is a family, regardless of which part of Guyana we're focusing on. Fortunately, the focus on this week is right here in Region 3. Well, it is now time for you to hear from His Excellency, President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, Brigadier David Granger, as he addressed this gathering. This is West Side Story.
Chairman of the Essequibo Islands, West Emira region of the People's National Congress, Comrade Mark Walks. Thank you very much for your invitation to be here at this cultural extravaganza. It's almost an anticlimax for me to rise to speak here, but I'm very proud to be here to have witnessed our sons and daughters of many lands, from Asia, from Africa, from Europe. Here we are in the Americas. Isn't Guyana a beautiful country, beautiful people? And we are in a beautiful region. Comrades, this region is important to us, to the country, to our party, and to all of us here. This region, over 3,755 square kilometers, is bigger than the country of Mauritius, is bigger than the United States Virgin Islands. Even the three Essequibo Islands, Leguan, Wakinam, and Hog Island, are bigger than the British Virgin Islands. This is a big region, population of over 100,000 persons. And during the campaigns, we fought hard in this region. The APNU and the APNU plus AFC coalition have never been able to win this region. But democracy exists here. And this gathering this afternoon is a gathering of the People's National Congress Reform, is an expression of that democracy. When I was first elected leader of the PNC in 2012, 4 years ago, the first place I came to was Reading Hoop. And I promulgated then, at that time, of course, Debbie Backer was alive, and she was a regional representative, something called the Declaration of Reading Hoop. And that has been the basis of what I call the Plan of Action for Regional Development ever since. But it was there in Reading Hoop, that I first put those ideas together in August 2012. The Plan of Action for Regional Development. I wouldn't speak of that today. Today I greet you as we celebrate our 59th anniversary as a party of the People's National Congress. The real anniversary, of course, was on Wednesday, the 5th. And those of us who gathered at Congress Place would remember that we had a solemn flag-raising ceremony. And next year, when we celebrate our our Diamond Jubilee, we'll be having a bigger party, and I'm sure that we'll get some cultural advice from the well-clothed chairman of Region 3. But we celebrate, comrades, one of the most significant events in Guyanese political history. The 5th of October belongs to the PNC. That was the day when Forbes Burnham was elected leader and Joseph Lachman Singh was elected chairman at the Globe Cinema in Georgetown, in Cummingsburg, Georgetown. On the same day, on the very same day, the People's National Congress Women's Auxiliary was formed. Like husband and wife, one day, same day, both of them formed together. If the PNC is 59, the National Congress of Women is 59. They're born the same day. They are wedded. So it is a very important date in our history, and I'm glad that you here in Region 3 decided to celebrate that history, that historical date. As you know, our party grew out of the ribs of the People's Progressive Party, which was established in 1950. Both Joseph Lachman Singh and Forbes Burnham were members of the original PPP. But 7 years later, they broke and formed the party because they could not tolerate the doctrinary behavior and the divisionism that was taking place within the old PPP. And it's a good thing that they broke, because our party from the start was determined to change colonial society. And those of you who were born before independence would remember what colonial society was like, what British Guyana was like. You remember what the roads in West Demerara were like. This was an exclusive society. People like you couldn't go on the sugar plantations, on the sugar estates, in what was called the senior staff compound. You couldn't go. You couldn't go to Georgetown Club. You couldn't go to the golf course. You couldn't go to the Georgetown Cricket Club. People were poor, very poor. Children would go to school barefooted, walk to school, sometimes eat one meal a day. It wasn't a happy existence for sugar workers or for ordinary workers here on the West Coast and elsewhere in Guyana. Our economy is dominated by foreign capital. There were hardly any significant local industries. Our society was segregated. People like you couldn't work in the banks. You couldn't work at certain stores. Politically, our parties also were deeply divided. So, when the PNC was formed in 1957, our founder leader set out to put an end to the abuses of colonial society.
As I did promise earlier on in this week on West Side Story that I'll be talking to the PNCR regional chairman for region number 3, Mark Walks, who is basically the facilitator and one of the main organizers of this event celebrating the PNCR's 59th year of existence. And of course, this particular celebration, as I did say before, is in region 3. Mark Walks, welcome to West Side Story for the first time.
Thank you very much.
All right, great to have you. Let's talk about, well, most of the program has been completed. Let's talk about your satisfaction and so on with not only the turnout, but the entire aim of this celebration and all of that.
Because we work very hard for this program being successful. Okay, the achievement with the PNCR region, we successfully get the awards, the medals from business people. What the PNC is looking for the region is good leadership. And I trust that we will have that on the 4th of December.
Just to let the viewers know, for those who are not necessarily sure what you're talking about, let them know what's coming up on the 4th of December.
The 4th of December will be our regional conference, 29th regional conference for region number 3.
You heard it there from Mark Walks himself, the PNCR's regional chairman for region number 3. And of course, this is West Side Story. Stay tuned. Prepare to wrap up here on this week's edition of West Side Story, where I did tell you that we focused on the celebrations of the 59th anniversary of the People's National Congress reform right here in Region 3. As we prepare to wrap up, I just want to remind you of some of the awards that were given out. Awards were given for those persons who would have served the People's National Congress reform in this region for 50 years, those who would have also served for 40 years, and then there were some special awards given. For example, I did remind you earlier that the Minister of State, Joseph Harmon, not only is he responsible for this jurisdiction, but he is also literally a son of the soil because he was born and, in a sense, bred right here in Region 3. So special awards would have been given to him. Of course, you heard some sentiment from the PNCR regional chairman for Region 3 earlier, Mr. Mark Walks, and all of this is part of his initiative. Another special award would have also been given to the President, His Excellency. Now, as you can recall, the President celebrated his 71st birthday back in July of this year. But the region decided to celebrate the life and presented the President with a birthday gift right here at this special event for the People's National Congress reform. So all of that happened, and it was really exciting, and it did a lot to remind persons, especially members of the PNCR, as it relates to the hard work and what can be achieved by the PNCR based on the hard work of members and of course persons, those members living right here in this region. And of course, with that, it's all the time I have this week with you here on West Side Story. I am Malika Ramsey. Thank you very much for joining us. I invite you to join me again for another edition. This has been West Side Story.